Well, hello. This is Lone Wolf, and today I decided to go ahead and play another game I've been playing a lot recently. One of the games that I'm playing when I'm not playing World of Warcraft is EVE Online. Now, one of the things I like about EVE Online is it's a relatively simple game. It's enjoyable, it's fun, and it's surprisingly complex, even though it may seem very simplistic in the beginning. Now, what I've decided to do here is give you a quick show of the beginning of the game because, well, you always got to start somewhere. The beginning seems to be a really good place to start, and realistically, there are some things that I can do in my main game that I can't do on a beginner's free account. Now, one of the things about EVE Online is that you have the option to play for free, and you can also use in-game currency to buy what they call Omega Time, which is their paid-for subscription. Well, it takes a little while to do that, and it always helps to have at least a brief understanding of the beginning of the game. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to start a fresh character so that way you guys can see what's going on. Alright, so now we have my desktop going here, and we're going to start up the game. Now, as you may or may not see, I actually have three accounts. And this is from back when I was first trying to learn the game. For some reason, I was having trouble getting my demo to work, so I wound up with three accounts. They all go to the same email address, so they all know it's all me. So we're going to start here with this game. Okay, looks like we're restarting the client. That's okay. That's okay. We can restart the client. Let's try re-logging in to that one. At GH for Grizzly Hills. Password. Yep. Pin it. Alright, apparently it didn't like the fact that I haven't logged in on that account for a while, so I need to verify. So we're going to be switching into the game. Alright. Now, this is one of the starting screens. I was actually expecting to see a video. Let's see if I can get that video to show up. About Eve. Huh. And we're going to turn this up to an interval immediate, because it bumps up the graphical capacity quite a bit. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and restart the software, because now it's going to show the video. I think the video is actually kind of interesting. So now it should run the video on this startup. I'm going to take a moment to temporarily turn ye off. Oh, come on. It broke. All right. Try it again. All right. There it goes. Oh.
The birth of the Capsulia, a sacred act, immutable and profound. Mind and machine merged, flesh fused with power beyond mortal limits. United with destiny, a ship and its heart. They are one. New Eden. An oasis of life in an uncharted void. A galaxy where power and wealth spur humankind. Where four great empires seed the fractured renaissance of man. Wielding vast fleets, they carve their ideologies into the stars. The heroism and treachery of Capsuleers is woven into the fabric of New Eden. A story of industry, exploration, and conquest. However you choose to forge your destiny, do so with heart. New Eden is yours to shape. This is where your legend begins.
Now, personally, I really, really like that intro. That's freaking amazing. Now, for the most part, your empire selection is primarily going to give you a different design for your ships, different primary weapons to start out with, different locations you're going to start from, and it actually matters very little outside of that. There's really nothing you can't fly throughout the entire game if you're willing to dedicate enough time and energy to it, and it's realistically possible. So, you have the Caldari here. They're a corporate type entity. They're all of their stuff is really based off of, live for the corporation. Gallente, as you can see right there, the Federation is a beacon of democracy and liberty in the chaos of New Eden. I tend to feel that this fits more along the lines of what America is supposed to be, at least the concept behind it. The United States of America being about freedom, liberty, and democracy, and yada, yada, yada. Now, believe it or not, these two factions are actually at war with each other. I'm not entirely sure why, but they are. The Minmatar, they were once the slaves of Amar. They broke free, and they have their own thing going on. And the Amar think of themselves as like super royalty. All right, that's more or less how they see themselves. They see themselves as some kind of royalty to be taken seriously. Okay, so I just need to pick one of those, and for the most part, the starting stuff is going to be the same. The general concept is the same. The difference is you're going to start off with the different ships. Now, each faction has its own type of ship. So for the Caldari, they have, this is the starter ship, the Ibis. And these are some of the ships you'll eventually learn to fly in the game. They primarily use missiles and railguns, and they use their shield. And as you see here, it says shield tank. That means that typically their shields are their strong suit. And as you see here, the state, corporation, family. So I guess that kind of like feels kind of like Russia, kind of, sort of. It's interesting because it's, you know, everything owned by the state. And obviously the Gallente, being that they're all about wide freedoms. Now, every faction has their own pirates, and your ships tend to be built around, or the pirate ships tend to be built around what the strengths are and the weaknesses are for the race you start with. There's the Gallente. And so their main dealing is the Serpentis. Democracy and living in freedom. Let's say that sounds like America. Now, honestly, I liked their ships the most as I was looking at them. They just seemed the neatest. Now, their specialty is the railgun. Alright, now, it is... Oh, and drones, combat drones. They have the strongest drones. Their blaster weapons are short-range weapons, but they hit really hard. And these guys, they base their survivability on armor instead of shield. The disadvantage of using armor is it does not automatically repair. We have the Minmatar. And as you see, their ships look kind of ragtag. They look like, oh, well, we just threw this stuff together with the spare parts we had, and then we went to battle. And they use, well, what we in real life would recognize as weapons. They use autocannons, machine guns, you know, stuff like that. It's not meant for heavy-duty firepower stuff. In fact, one of the jokes is flying a Minmatar is like flying a tin can while firing an Uzi. And again, their shield. Their primary purpose is, you know, it quickly regenerates so you can get back into battle. And then you have your politics. As you see, they were slaves. Their enemy is the Amar, because the Amar were the people who were enslaving them, and their people they deal with the most is the Angel Cartel. Last but not least, we have the Amar, and they have very aristocratic looking ships. Look at the detail on this boat. Lots of gold, lots of, you know, scroll work along it. It's meant to make you think that you're rich. All right. and they use energy weapons. They're the laser guys. They shoot lasers, and they use the armor for their main defense. As you see here, the aristocracy look. As you see here, chosen people to reclaim the universe. You know, I am big and rich and important. And then you have the Menmatar, who are you know, they were the slaves, but they rebelled, they escaped, and they have to deal with the Blood Raiders, who, surprisingly enough, are a race of people whose main interest is using pure blood to improve their own lives. So in this particular case, originally it was children, and then they realized, well, wait a minute, clones. They were never spoiled by the indecency of their parents, so they have to be the most pure out there, bar none. Okay, so those are our main factions. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my four-sided die. See? Four-sided die. Oh. And we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4 from left to right. And we're going to roll the die and see which one I make. The only race I haven't actually made is Amarr, so I'm very tempted to just say screw it and do an Amarr. And Gallente. See? As you see right here, roll the 2. Alright. So. Alright, so we're going to start with Gallente. Now, each race has its own bloodline. Okay. For the Gallente, you have the Intaki. And you see the description there. You have the Jinmei. Well, May. You know, I'm not entirely certain of the pronunciation. And then just straight Gallente. I call it Gallente. It could be Gallant. Gallant, you know, like I'm courageous, gallant. And we'll just do the Intaki meal. Now, for the longest time, EVE Online's character creator was one of the best possible character creators to find in an MMORPG. Hands down, one of the best ones to make. And I'm just hitting the random keys right here to show different possible options. All right. So if you're just joining in, welcome. I'm in the middle of doing the introduction for EVE. You haven't missed too much, just a quick description of the different races. So we're starting here, and I mean, I'm not actually going to use this particular build. We're going to go ahead and show some of the customization options here. Increase and decrease muscularity, make them more and less heavy. Now you can't really see this too well with his clothes on, but the muscularity is definitely there. Okay. Complexion, and you have actually a really nice wide spread of skin tone options. And then we're gonna bump him over here, and you can add aging marks to his face. So we'll go here, and then varying amounts of freckles. He's going to be a freckly guy. We're going to make this one a freckle guy. And you can add scarring. I typically anticipate that the scarring is more based off of, like, you know, damage to the skin from acne, because you see it's a little pockmarked here. So we're gonna go like that. And you have 10 different styles of eye. You can even make it where he doesn't have eyes, but that seems kind of creepy. So we are going to make him, there we go. And we're going to give him, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13 color options. So where's my blues? There they are, blues. And I'm going to use, why does it look like I'm missing a die? 4, 6, 8, 10s, 12, 20. Nope, I got them all. All right, so I'm going to use my 12-sided die. See, 12-sided die. And we're going to roll color number 3. So apparently he's going to have medium brown eyes. And there's 19 different styles of hair. A little pompadour going on. Now every race, believe it or not, not all the races have the exact same hair options. Some races have more, some races have fewer. I guess I should be giving you a moment to load so you can see, huh? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start with the Mohawk. Why? Because why not? And you actually choose both the color of the hair and the color of the root. Which can actually make for some pretty neat color options. So, and then you have your eyebrow options and your facial hair. And you can make it more colorful versus, you know, black. So we're going to run with a mild color here. And you have different eye colorations, which you can actually adjust, make it look like makeup. But we're going to run with a tanner color. We're going to fade that out. Lash thickness. If you want them to have really, really lashy eyes, you can do that. I don't worry about that too much very often. And cheek tone. So, I mean, like I said, it's actually a rather in-depth character creation option. You can even change the lip tone and the color. So, if you want him to have blue lips, there we go. Now he's got blue lips. So, that's the basics up there. We come down here for clothes. You have multiple layers, so we're actually going to take off the outer layers so you can the various layers, so that way you can actually see how deep this actually goes. Right. So you have your top, and various types of shirts. You know, this kind of semi-armor. I was actually trying to click on the red one, so we'll click on the red one. There we go. And you can choose how it is tucked. There are several different levels of being tucked in. And then you have your pants. If you want to have them tucked in with a belt, you can have it tucked in with a belt. And there's 9 different options for pants. And again, each race has got different options. So that's something to consider. And as you play the game, you can actually get more clothing options in the game by just simply playing the game. And the shoes have different coloring and different tuck options. So if you don't want the boots visible, you can do that. Then you have your eyewear options. Let's go up here. And if you want them to wear Neo style sunglasses, there you go. I don't care for sunglasses. If I was going to put any glasses on them, it'd probably be like these, but nah. And you also have the option for body modifications like piercings, tattoos. Some races even have the availability of adding like stuff to your your implants on your body once you got that far. There's different scars to add. So, and then once this is done, you go through all this noise. Almost everything about this character can be adjusted. So, let's say you think his nose is too big. Well, that's great. So we come into here. Now let's get out of body modifications. Come into here. We grab his nose, and we move his nose to wherever we want it. You want some guy with a gigantic set of lips that are really wide and pouty? Oh, look at that. Pouty lips. There we go. Give him some Gollum ears. And get rid of the turkey neck. And what you don't see with me doing with my mouse over here is I'm actually moving in all directions. Some directions cause spreading, some add more definition. Come out here. Raise and lower his mouth, give him smaller lips. There we go. Adjust the position of his chin, width of his chin, and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, the character creator is actually really in depth. Especially when you factor in that this is a 15-year-old game. You come down here, you can give him belly fat. I'm gonna come down here. Make a little pudgy. Fiddle with his arm muscularity, leg muscularity. It's actually all there. So we're going to stop there because I think y'all get the picture. It's an interesting little setup. The next thing you can do is you can take a photograph of your character. And there are 89 background options. You have your faction options, lighting options. You can put your character up against a solar background if you so choose. You can adjust the focus and the frame and the range, change his pose, change the lighting and the colors. Make it more or less intense lighting. Change your angle. Make him smile. Make him frown. Make him pick his nose. Actually, you can't make him pick his nose. But you can make him look really mad, which I've done before. So that'll work. Some jerk in red. Photograph. And then you got to come over here. You pick your ancestry, art, diplomat, or reborn, and your education level. And what these do is these choose which system you're going to start in and which corporation you start in, because you automatically start in a corporation. Now, for those of us coming from games like World of Warcraft and Guild Wars and stuff like that, it's the corporation is your guild. Okay, that's your guild. So, we'll make him a diplomat, and each one has its own little blurb here. You can read those if you want to check into it yourself. And we'll make him from studies. We're going to give him a random name. So let's see here. I'm going to name him. Let's see here. What can we call him? Anyone got any ideas? Anybody watching? Anyone got any ideas what we can name him? I'm more than willing to take a suggestion. I'll give a couple seconds for that. Anything? All right. Let's see. But you know what? I just happen to have a Ninja Turtle bank here that belongs to my son. So I'll call him Leonardo. Leonardo Arneret. Change that last name. There we go. Leonardo Plod. What? There we go. You don't have to pick two names. Is it Pono? You can actually get away with just using one. In fact, if you wanted to, you could actually make it, if you want to do multiple names. Okay, I guess your first name can have one space in it, so that way you can have a three-name setup if you really want to. So, Leonardo Plod. I have 4 characters so far. 4 characters, and all of them have a full name like what you would expect. And welcome to the stream. I'm going through a quick showing of the way the game plays for people who've never seen the game but might have heard me talk about it, or just anybody curious. All right, so we've got everything set up. We have this guy who looks kind of goofy, a photograph. We go ahead and get started. Yes, this is an alpha start. This is the free version. I have an Omega account. This is not my Omega. The idea to be, if you were to decide to take a look at the game, this is what to expect. All right. Now, they recently updated the intro to this. When I started a year ago, there was a full, you're in the middle of this huge battle thing. No. You don't need anything extra. I don't need some sugar to twink start. Realistically, if you're willing to put the time and energy in, you can make a half decent character. It's just a matter of, understanding the game, learning how to do it. And there are some drawbacks to running an alpha, but you know what? It could be worse. All right, but we start up here. Now I'm going to do my best to pretend that I've never played the game before, because it does have a bit of a learning curve. So thankfully they added this introductory system to help you get an idea. As you see here, detected an enemy, so it's telling you where to look. Now once you're actually out of the introductory mode, you're playing the game on your own. There's no hand holding. You got to do it. So take the time to go through the intro, get an idea of what you're doing. Seriously, it'll help you in the long run. As you see here, it says to approach the bunker. So you click on it, right click, as it says, and then approach. Once you get the hang of the game, you're not going to hit approach. You're going to tell it to orbit or keep at range or do whatever. And once you just stop the ship, see here, click to stop the ship. So we're going to stop it, and you see your actual range. You stop the ship. All right. And it's telling us to lock on. So we right click, we click lock target. Now, there are keyboard shortcuts to all these things. So eventually you'll get the hang of that. For this particular case, if you're trying to target lock, you'll hit control, hit your target, and then go. You see here, it's telling us to orbit at 500. So orbit at 500. And then open fire with your primary weapon. Or, because of where this is, hit F1. Your enemy's health is right here. So you have shields, armor, and hull. You blow through the hull, the ship is destroyed. Pretty simple. You also have the same thing down here. Armor, or shield, armor, and hull. And the middle part here is capacitor. Alright. An enemy came in. We're already set to orbit. I think, yeah, that orbit's at 1,000, but 1,000 is good for this. Realistically, we could probably orbit at about 2,500, but the closer you are, the faster you are, the harder it is for them to hit you. I'm taking some damage. I am taking a few hits. But in this part of the game, it is automatic. Now, it's not going to tell you to do this, but I will. You drop some loot. So we're going to go back and we're going to get our loot. Why? Because we're going to sell that stuff later, I'm sure. It doesn't tell you to do that, but, I mean, it's an MMORPG ultimately. When isn't there loot to take? So, remember to do that. Alright, so now we're going to go over to the base. And you see you have it in the overview, but you can also go right over here, right click and dock, or you can just come over here, right click and dock, or just pick it, and this little bar up here give you your options. You can just click dock right there. And the ship will fly itself. Now this is what's called a rookie ship. Everyone starts off in a rookie ship, and every rookie ship comes with a civilian Gatling gun, which doesn't require ammunition. It's a very short range, very low power weapon. Every ship comes equipped with a civilian miner, so that way you can do mining, because industry is a part of this game. You can mine. And every ship comes with, every rookie ship comes with a civilian afterburner. And if you package and unpackage the ship, it'll automatically get reloaded with those, regardless of if you have them in your inventory. So, I kind of think it's a little bit of a bug or a cheat. I could package this and reassemble it and put 2 Gatling guns on this right away. Now, once we're in the dock, you have, it's telling you to go to the agency, which is right here. And it's giving us the combat career path. Alright. Now, this is just to give you a basic understanding of combat in the game. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to accept it. As we go, it's going to give us different things that will allow us to train. Training is important because the higher these are, the more you can do. The only downside, you see all these things with all the yellow dots? All those yellow dots? We cannot learn those, at least until you've paid for the account. Once you've paid for the account, you can begin to learn those, and you'll continuously learn them as you're playing. All right. So, we're actually not going to tell to start up any right now. We're going to activate the mission. As you see, the first thing it tells you to do is undock. Well, of course, you got to have your ship out in space in order to do anything. Excuse me. Alrighty. Now, during this training, all of your stuff is going to show up right here. Alright, I don't know if you can see that. Actually, you know what? Let me adjust that just a hair. There we go. So, you need to warp to your location, and it will give you instructions as you go. You can zoom in and out with your scroll wheel. And the chat can be rather entertaining sometimes. But if you're in corporation chat, believe it or not, especially the rookie corporations, they tend to be rather helpful, especially to newer players. Alright, we got some enemies in here. Now, you can either click directly on the enemy to go after them, or you can do it in this box. And depending on your training level, you can actually target more than 2 or 3 enemies at a time. So now we're going to go into combat. We're going to get to orbiting this guy. Usually it's a good idea to get yourself ready for your second orbit. Now I'd like to stress for you guys that this is just a basic gameplay format, okay? So you can manually tell your ship where to go by simply double-clicking in points of space. Oh, I'm not shooting. Typically, it's a good idea to shoot the enemy. Oh, looks like I missed a couple shots. And yes, you can miss. You will miss quite often, and it will cost you several rounds. Especially if you have guns that are already set up with ammunition-based rounds. Alright. And believe it or not, that ends that particular trial mission. Okay? Now, especially when you're just starting out, loot everything, because you can sell it in the marketplace. You can reuse different parts of it depending on what you're doing. You can do what's called a reprocessing, which I'll show you guys later, which turns it into materials you can use to build. And apparently I've drifted out of range of that box. So this is the bare minimum basic of what to expect here. There's a lot more to it, but that's the basic. Like, you can't get any more basic as to what to expect while playing this game. Alright? Now, if you want to go back to base, you can. Or, as you can see here, it says click on the agency path. So we click on the agency button. And again, this hand holding only happens at the very beginning. At the very beginning. And you're going to get notifications down here. This is your notification button. So we're going to come over here. We'll pick the next Seek and Destroy mission. And we're going to click Warp to Location. Some of the older versions of the game, it was a little confusing to know where you were supposed to be going, especially early on, because it just dropped you into the game. There was no idea what you're supposed to do. You were just supposed to do it. Well, typically, you know, if you knew somebody who knew what they were doing, that was great. If you didn't, it was not pleasant. I hate to say it. I've since come to enjoy the game, but when the first time I ever tried this game, I had the 14-day trial. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was difficult to understand, and it gave you virtually no instruction. So you were left wondering, okay, now what? Now, I'm still doing the same basic thing. The only difference is I'm now beginning to use keyboard shortcuts. All the shortcuts I'm doing are available on the screen. So you can click here, and lock target, or you can click here and lock target. You can orbit, or if I'm looking directly at the ship, I can right click here, orbit, select my range to orbit, and it'll go. Another difference that you're going to recognize in this in comparison to many other MMORPGs is a lot of times your action buttons are your number keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. In this one, it's your function keys. And that may not seem like a big difference, but until you're used to it, you're going to find yourself missing your commands quite frequently. It's going to happen. Don't panic. There we go. Now we'll go back to orbiting this guy. And shoot him. Shoot him until he no longer exists. And we're going to set him up to orbit at 5,000. If you notice, the ship will automatically do that. Now, each individual weapon system has its pluses and minuses. Well, they're starting to get me now. Yep, I can only target 3 people at a time right now. On my main account, I can... What's going on? Am I not hitting him? I'm not hitting him. Oh, this isn't good. There it goes. Now it's starting to hit. Now these are actually shooting at me with missiles. I'm using a Gatling gun. So it's really, really lightweight stuff. And we're going to come about. And we're going to see if we can't lock up on that other guy. Here he is. As you can see the actual damage he's taken on his armor. You know what? He's kind of at range, so we're going to look at my ship, turn off the gun, and go after that guy because he happens to be right on top of me. Comparatively. You see, he's a little bit of a distance away, but he's right there. He's not that far away. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Now we're going to rearrange our setup here and go after this guy. Now, interestingly, while it was showing that we were shooting at him, we really weren't. Did someone else pop in? Looks like it. Okay. Now, this is going to get cluttered up really quick. You can turn different things off as you don't, when you don't want them there, and make life a little bit easier. Now you're noticing some of these letters, these things popping up across my screen. Some of them have number values. As I'm destroying these enemy ships, I am earning a bounty value on each of these ships. So I think each of these are worth, it's either 2,500, 5,000, or 10,000 ISK. I actually don't know what ISK stands for. I really don't know what ISK stands for, but I know that it's the in-game currency, and that's all that matters in this regard. Alright, now he's down to armor. We're through his shield. Now we're just popping away at his armor. And we're down past his armor and hitting his hull, so he should go down soon. Now, had this been a real series of bigger ships, there's no way I would have made that. I'm sorry. This rookie ship would have taken 2 or 3 hits and have been done. You'll get used to that. So, as you notice, it's not telling us to dock yet. So, but, you know, we're taking a little bit of damage. If you watch here, you'll see it is slowly increasing. But it's really, really slow. So, if you go to if you dock up or get close enough to certain types of bases, it will quickly recharge your shield, and in some cases do repairs to your hull and armor, depending on the way the base is set up. So that's something to remember for later. Now, we'll do the last agency for this particular version. And as you see, I got another 50,000 reward for completing the mission. So we're going to do the second Seek and Destroy. There's 16 total missions here. We're going to activate the next one. And we're going to warp to it. There we go. I'm suddenly no longer entirely broke. I got a little tiny bit of money. And we warp away. Now this little bar here is capacitor. You really can't do anything in this game if you run out of capacitor. Oh. Hey, we're right on top of this guy, aren't we? Let's get the flying. Turn on the guns, turn on the booster, start shooting, and start taking hits right away. Now, once we get through the basics of the game itself, probably next time I stream, I'll go ahead and break out my Omega account, which is the one I paid for. I've actually paid for a full year as of March. So, yeah, I have a full year of game time on my main account. So I'll be able to show you guys a bit more there. The vast majority of this game can be controlled via mouse, so keep that in mind. It's good to know. Now, one thing you want to do, or get into the hang of with this particular game, especially if you're dealing with multiple enemies, is to always find yourself ready to move to the next one. Alright? In some cases, the guy you're shooting at's the wrong target. In other cases, they're going to outrun you. So you don't want to be left not actively doing what you're trying to do. In this case, we're trying to blow up the Circadian Seekers. So just keep them locked up and be ready to move on from target to target. And he should go down here another couple seconds. Boom. 2 more. Let's go get them. If you're just joining in, today is just a quick demonstration of the beginning of the game and what to expect for an alpha clone just starting out. So I'd like to welcome anybody aboard who comes in. Now, you're not going to see this on this particular ship because I don't have it heavily armed with anything. But if I was using a higher grade weapon, this here, I keep trying to point at the screen, this here would be going down a lot faster than it currently is. That one miss? Okay. Let's go ahead and loot out. Now these markers here, you see how it says wreck and empty? Okay. The loot is the box that's on the inside. Okay. The outer stuff is a wreck. You can either choose to destroy the wreck by shooting it until it's gone, or if you have the right tools, you can actually salvage it and make parts out of it later. But that's something that I'll go into a little more depth on in the near future. I actually run a pirating ship that's specifically meant to go out and blow up pirate ships that carries salvage drones, and that's its entire job. It's just, I put out the drones, they salvage the wrecks, I'm done. Alright. Now if you notice, every single time I loot something, it comes into this pile here. And you'd think they'd stack on their own. They don't, and I believe that's for a reason. So that way you can identify the ones you've gotten recently. If you want to stack them up, you can either drag them one at a time, or simply right-click and hit Stack All. See? Stack All. Ta-da! Alright. Now again, it's telling me to, it's not telling me to dock up, it's telling me to hit the agency window. So we're going to start heading out. Now you can double click out into space and your ship will start to move in that direction. There's a few other options that you'll need to you'll want to take a look at eventually. But this is a tactical overlay, which actually gives you visual ranges. And as you see, a general direction in comparison to your ship. Bearing, I believe, would be the appropriate term. And the range that you're seeing here is actually adjusted for the curve. So you see how that's a curve there? It's way below. You'd think that'd be a little further out. it's actually correctly marked on the tactical overlay. So we're back to our regular view. You can actually turn that off by clicking the tactical overlay button versus a tactical camera. Free roam is use your left mouse button to move the camera and the right mouse button to kind of point away while still keeping your ship generally centered. All right, so this one's done. And we're still not training anything. Now, just for educational purposes, as you see, I don't have a Gallente frigate option yet. But I do have a mining frigate. Now, if you're aware of naval terms, a frigate, corvette, battleship, destroyer, combat cruiser, cruiser, carrier, these are all related to ships you'd recognize if you're on the Navy. If you're not used to them, you'll get used to them pretty quick. Now, one thing, there's two ways to set up for training from this screen. You can either drag it down, or you can right-click and click Add to Queue, either at the front of the queue, or just click Add to Queue, which will put it at the end of the queue. So we are going to put this at like this. I'm going to drag number 3 down as well, just so that way there's something there. It's really not the best thing to do to not have training going on in a character. So okay, now we're going to go on to the agency. We've now completed 3 sets. Okay. So you have first 3 done out of 16. Next one is to teach us about range and fall off. Every weapon has a range and an accuracy fall off range. So a maximum range is where you'll no longer hit. And the fall off range is where the damage starts to become less because it's, well, falling off. So we're going to activate that one. And it's going to tell us to warp away again.
Warp drive active.
The part that stinks, the introduction that used to be there, the aura, instead of just saying, you know, oh, activating hard drive, activating warp drive, it was actually voice acting to the game. And so it was a little more interesting that way. Aura would actually read to you things and speak to you like conversationally about the training you're doing. So all right, as you see, it tells me to hold position. The idea here is to show you how ranges work. All right, so we're clicking on here. It affects, as you see here, oh, I'm being targeted. As you see here, I have the fall off range and the optimal range. All right, optimal range is where I'm going to do the most damage. So since this one has an optimal range of 5,000 kilometers, we can set the orbit to 5,000. Well, technically it should be inside that range, but we'll just hit 5,000 for conversational sake. And we start firing. Well, once we lock. Now, I'm at the fall off range. So, as you see, I'm only doing 2. That one just completely missed. As I get closer, the damage will pick up. It's pretty self-explanatory in that regard. And if we go ahead and get even closer, let's see, orbit, come on. Orbit. Oh, he's already down. As you see, this guy's still kind of out of range. And there is, every ship does have a locking range. one of the things I keep coming back to this game for is because I love the music. I enjoy it so much. Some people don't, you know, after a while you get bored. No, that's fine. For me, I enjoy the music. All right. You see, it's talking about skill training now. What do I think of EVE Online? Well, that's actually what this whole video is about. I'm doing this video to let some of my friends know about the game. That's why I'm starting an alpha account. What do I think about the game? This is not going to be a game you're going to just step in and boom, it's going to be the best thing ever. This does not play like any MMORPG you've ever played before. Cray, Radon, if you're going to play the game, I strongly advise that you take a look at the tutorial. Try it out, play the tutorial, give it a few days, because there are going to be things you're going to get the hang of really quick, and there are going to be some things that are going to be really confusing. For personal experience, it took me forever to understand how to use what's called the D scan or directional scan. And for that, you push the V key, and it literally brings up a scanning system that allows you to get some kind of idea of what's in the area. I didn't know that you could turn it up to 360 degrees, full circle, and then a range, and this tells you everything that's within your range. There it is. All the wrecks, everything is right here. I didn't understand how to use it until recently. I actually had someone teach me how to use it just recently. Yeah. Believe it or not, the reason I started looking at the game, Radon, is because I heard a story about a war that cost like 200,000 real dollars in game. That's how much the ships were valued that got lost. And I was like, I've got to look into this again. They recently redid the demos, so I'm sorry, the introductory. Make use of this. Oh no. I actually have a full account. I'm doing this on the alpha. Okay. I'm doing this on the alpha because I want anybody. I want the people who I'm trying to show this for to get an idea of what they'll look at for the free version of the game. So, honestly, what I'd suggest you do is if you got a couple buddies who like space adventuring, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, there is so much to this game that I couldn't possibly go through it in a single video. Okay. If you got a bunch of buddies who are willing to put some time into this, you know what? It's a lot more fun when you have people who are interested in playing. And heck, my 8-year-old son plays this game occasionally with me, and he has fun with it. As long as we go do some PvP. So, and that is a big thing to remember. EVE Online is always PvP. Always. It's a part of the game. You can't get away from it. And sometimes it's going to suck because you will lose a lot of boats that way. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and continue on with the agency. Huh? It should be. Oh, I got a dock. Okay, this one's telling me to dock. Our Star Citizens. Oh. Believe it or not, even the guys who have been playing for a while anybody can make an alpha account. Anybody can. And if one of your buddies wants to set up, you know what? I'm the kind of person like I set my son up with a couple mining ships and a couple PvP ships so that way he could get a hang of the game. He's loving it as long as we're doing something he enjoys. All right, so let's go ahead and dock. Now, as you see the square here, that's your dock. Pretty simple. Your square is your dock. This is a beacon to tell you where different things are. And these are jump gates. So you can actually go to different star systems using the jump gates. Those will be something we'll show a little bit later on. And I apologize for stuttering. I'm not used to doing it like this. I'm having fun though. But if you haven't played, if it's not something you've actually put the time into trying yet, like I said, give it a few days, a week or two. And don't sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to become the best pilot in an hour, because that's not going to happen. Alright, now that we're docked, he wants me to redeem items. Now, in the intro to the game, you are going to be given some stuff. Okay. The names and skill books. Well, the stuff's not in here. Okay, this is one of the things that the intro gets wrong. Okay, in order to get to the stuff they're talking about, you actually need to go into what's called your Neocom, go into the inventory tab, and redeem items. As you see, I've been given 2 training books. So we redeem those items. I'll tell you where it's putting them. Now, when you're doing multiple books, let's see. Maybe the Alpha Pack. Oh, wow. Seriously? Wow. Okay. Well, the Alpha Pack DLC activation code, I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think what that does is I think it gives you, I think it's a 200 and... Wow. I think with the Alpha Pack, it gives you 250,000 training points, which you'll use on your character sheet. Okay? As you see, I don't have any here. Okay? But if you did, you could right-click on this and then click Add Skill Points, and it'll just add the training points like that. It'll save a lot of time. The Plex cards, those you can actually either use Plex to buy in-game Omega time, or you can sell them for in-game currency. And oh no, please, Radon, feel free to ask your questions. Seriously, I'm more than happy to answer with what I know. I've been playing for about a year now, and so there are some things I know and some things I don't know. I don't know exactly what you get in the DLC pack. So you might want to look that one up. But I know the Plex. Yeah, I'll show you the Plex Vault. Okay. Now I don't have any Plex on this account because what I did was I took an empty account. I took an empty account and made a character just to show alpha. Okay. You can sell your ISK on the marketplace. And as you see here, 2.9 million ISK for a single One ISK is worth 2.9 million. I'm sorry, one Plex is worth 2.9 million ISK. And just those two cards here, you've got 1,000 Plex. Okay, 1,000. So that builds up really quick. Your Omega Time, you can buy. Oh, they dropped the price to 500. So for one of those 500 code things, you get the Omega clone time. And I'll actually be going more over Omega stuff in the near future. But you train twice as fast. You're not limited in what you can train. You're not set to the 24-hour queuing time that's available as an alpha. Instead, you're limited to putting 50 things in the queue, and that's 50. Okay. You can also use those to buy ship skins. So, like, I actually thought about getting this one because I fly Algos a lot. I really like the Algos. I don't really have a reason why, but I do. Another one I like is... Let's see here. This one here. I don't fly a Coveter all that often. I fly the Procurer, which is somewhere in here, I'm sure. And then these are different. So like if you're flying your frigates, these are different skins you can get for your frigates. Like here we go. I fly a lot of as an alpha, you'll fly Ventures from mining, but you can use the Plex to buy those. You can also use them to buy clothes, in-game clothes. Like if you want to wear a beret, you can buy berets with them, hats, different clothing, which if you go back to the beginning of the video, you'll see I go through some of the stuff. Tattoos, prosthetics, and your various services. Omega Times, skill extractors, they dropped the price on those too. Daily alpha injectors, so you can buy one of these a day. You can inject one of these a day for an alpha, and it lets you go past the 2.5 million training points you can do as an alpha. But you use the Plex for all that, and Omega Time right there. I bought mine cash out. I bought my Omega Time cash out because I was just starting out and having a really hard time getting money going. So that's my reality for the game. But the Plex, yeah, keep those Plex. Just don't go spending them all in one shot. Alright, where was I? Oh, right, inventory. So we're going to go back to the item hanger, which is where the books tend to go. If it's in your ship hold, you don't want to hold it there. You want to keep things in your item hanger because if you get your ship blown up, you're going to lose your stuff. I almost said the wrong word. And the ship hanger is these are the different ships you have. You can change your names. Like, let's see. Twitch.tv / wolf up and we'll get rid of the Twitch.tv MG or should be, I believe it's Grizzly Hills actually. No, I was right, it is MG. Alright. If you really would like to send me some, the main character I use, I'm actually going to type into chat. It's Wolf Daniel, like that. That's my main character's name. All right. this may take me a second because, believe it or not, I'm relatively new to this part here. You know what? I have it over here. Thank you very much. I do really appreciate that. I will save this for later. Like I said, I'm going to put this on my main account, so that way I can actually benefit from it. All right. So your training, you need to inject skill books. Oh, no. Again, the whole point of this was to show the way the game will start for the individual players. That was what I wanted to do. So please don't worry about apologizing, okay? Because I'm more than happy. I wish that I had found one of these for myself, and I found some later. But as you said, they were 1.5 years old, so the information's a little outdated. So we're going to inject these skills. Actually, we're going to do both train now. Train now to level 1. And train now to level 1. Now, as you see, we're going to come over here to the training queue. And I already had the mining frigate on there, and it pushed them back. So what's going to happen is over the course of the next, we'll call it 50. Thanks again, Radon. Feel free to look me up. Like I said, that's my actual character name right there. My main character name. Now, what was I saying? Right. In about 50 minutes, I'll be able to fly the first frigate that I will eventually get in this game. And as you're doing the training stuff, it will give you the stuff. Alright? So, we now have that training. Feel free to hunt me down. I'm usually out either mining or doing some what do I call it? What is that? Exploration. Exploration is one of my favorite things to do in this game. It really, really is. So I have a couple cloak ships I use for that purpose. So, all right, we're going to continue on. Whoa. No. I wanted to minimize it. All right. Now, as you see, we undocked. We click warp to. And that stuff will also be right here. All right. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here for a moment, but all of these things, everything I'm doing here does have keyboard options to do them. So if I want to, so right now, as you see, it's set to F1. My mining laser is set to F2. And my civilian afterburner is set to Alt F1. So literally I hold the Alt key and F1. Mind you, this is a Windows-based system, so it's based off of that. While you're in warp, you can't target. Apparently, oh yeah, this is a missile drone, so he's popping me with missiles at range. Actually, I think they're rockets, technically. One of the nice things about a rocket ship, if you're using rockets and missiles as weapons, is as long as they're within range, it's a guaranteed hit. The problem is that their range is rather limited. Now, a neat little trick you can do here is you can actually highlight multiple targets while holding the control key, and if they're in range, they'll lock. Keep clicking that button on accident. Now, I'm going to be completely missing at this time because he's way out of my range. 5 or 7,000 is my usable range for this weapon. And now you'll see, as I get in closer, some of them will start to hit, but they're going to be a little bit lighter until I get in and tight. 24 kilometers. Now they're in range. Another thing to remember while playing this game is you are flying in 3-dimensional space. You will bounce off of rocks, and those rocks will kick you away from them. You have to make sure, if you're are you trying to log into the client or are you logging into the website? If you're trying to do this through the website, make sure you're actually logged in. If you're not logged in, the website, yeah, you might not be logged in. Or it might be that in order to use that particular code, you may have to create a new account. And that was one of the issues I actually had when one of my friends was trying to introduce me to this game. I made the account, and I tried to punch in his code, and it said, "No, you can't do that." I said, "Well, why not? It's a valid code." It was because the objective is to use the code to create the account. So that could be what that is. Yeah, honestly, don't use Steam. Don't use Steam. I know a lot of people prefer to use Steam to keep all their games organized. In my experience, Steam tends to cause headaches with MMO games that have their own launchers. Another thing you're going to find out about is there are there are a lot of websites with a lot of information about this game. All right, well, we're done this one, so we're going to move on to the next one. Oh. Well, I don't know if you'll have to load them through Steam or if you can directly load them into the website. I don't know. While I'm warping, I'm actually logging in. No, I clicked the wrong button. I need to jump off here for just a second to get to my authenticator. Authenticator. Online updates, community support. I guess it would help if I was shooting, huh? I'm gonna fly at you and let you hit me with your missiles. I am successfully logged in. Oh, come on. Uh, this particular one's actually Galente. Cool. Now, just to let you know, as I said earlier, yeah. And by the way, if you have these codes, you can actually go directly to secure.eveonline.com and punch the codes in there. It'll put it into an account you've already got active. All right. So this is the link I'm on to punch in the codes. Just make sure to log into your stuff and it'll work. All right. More agency time. Yay! But yeah, you can play any race. Any race can play and can fly any ship once you train it. And Omega is no longer limited by that option. So, this this Alpha clone, if I decide to train it to fly Caldari, yeah, it's pretty quick. Wow, it's already almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Stop missing. Once I get in range, I'm going to stop missing. There we go. Okay, maybe not stop missing, but the likelihood I'm going to miss drops significantly. And always loot, always loot. No worries. Now, while I'm more likely to miss a smaller ship that has less armor, so when it hits, it hits a little bit harder. Oh, yeah. Oh, and I don't think you were here when I was messing with the character creator. Okay, for the most part, every body part can be physically adjusted. Can be physically adjusted by clicking on it and dragging the mouse around. So if you want want your character to have a bigger chin or a smaller chin, you grab the mouse and you can move it around and make it bigger or smaller by changing the direction of the mouse.
Skill training completed.
I had my niece make a character in the game. When she was done, I swear to beans, she had made a clown. Okay, we're talking like she like made the biggest lip possible with these huge lips that are like this big across her face with makeup that made her lips like cherry red and like blue makeup on her eyes and face and everything else. Like she was a clown by the time she was done. Like a physical clown. It was an actual clown. It was hilarious. But she was super proud of the character, and she played for like 20 minutes and decided she was done. It's definitely not. This game takes some time to get used to. It really, really does. And it's definitely not for everyone. One of the long-standing jokes is this is a spreadsheet simulator. Because sometimes it's going to feel like you're just working on a spreadsheet. Now this training here, your objective is to actually not move. You're supposed to stay where you are, and the enemy ships will orbit you. Okay. Okay. Starting skills. Well, there is there really is no one all fitting, all encompassing answer to that question.
Skill training.
The thing to remember is it depends on what you want to do. Now, if you want to be a miner, then obviously you're going to want to focus on mining. And that means leveling up a mining frigate. That means focusing on mining upgrades and mining stuff. Okay? If you want to do industrial, mining is important, but you also want to work on resource processing to get as much out of it as you can. Reprocessing is good to have for industrial. You're going to want to work on production because this allows you to make your ships, more ships in a go, more products, more items. Rigging will be good to have in the long run. But if you're in the game to do combat, then you're going to want to focus on the type of ship you want to fly. So if you really, really, really want to fly a laser boat, then you'll work on the Amar. Okay. If you really, really, really want to fly missile boats, then you're probably going to want to focus on Caldari. If you want to focus on drone fighting, then you'll focus on Galente. So you want to have an idea of what you're going into for this before you start just going. Now, honestly, the first thing I would do is get your original race piloting ability up to at least a 3, because that ability improves how well your ship flies and what you can do with it. So I'm obviously in a Galente Velotor. It's a dinky little ship. But if we go into our ship tree here, there's no real skill behind using it. Now you can master using it, and this is just, if you have these skills, he's laughing at me, 33 space stations and a Titan. Okay, that probably probably means that that probably means that the codes that they gave you a lot of stuff to start with. Most of it you're not going to be able to use until you train into it. So you can either sell it for in-game currency. I would suggest just holding on to it, so that way you can use it later, if you choose to. Now, as I was saying, as you level up your stuff, all right, you go to traits. For every skill level, you actually get increased bonuses. So in this particular case, let's see, I think this it starts you off with an incursus. So we'll start with an incursus. All right. So for every level of Galente frigate that I have trained, it will gain 7.5% bonus to armor and 5% bonus to small hybrid turret damage. So what that means is, at level 3, my repairer will be doing 22.5% more repairing to the ship, and my weapons will be doing 15% more damage than if I were to not have any skill there at all. All right. Now, in this particular case, the big thing I need is a Galente frigate training, and I got the book for that. It's already in the process of training. So it really depends on what you really want to do in the game as to the best way to start your training. And honestly, if anyone in the chat is willing to make a suggestion that I might have missed, please feel free, because while I am somewhat experienced in the game, I am by far not an expert. Yeah. That's the big important thing. You have to decide what you want to do. When I first started playing the game, I was all about building ships. So initially, I focused on mining. I focused on the construction stuff. That's what I focused on. And then I started getting more into, like, I just recently got into faction warfare. And so now I'm kind of wishing I had done a better job spreading out what my training is. Alrighty. Yeah, it's always a good idea to get a concept of what you are looking for in your game. It really is. Because you want the game to be exciting for you. And if you're the kind of person that wants the hard-hitting combat stuff, then you'll focus on that. If you want to be the space's best businessman, then you'll focus on stuff for that. This game, I mean, it's a sandbox type game. You can really mold this game to what you want to play. Now, I'll be honest, had I flown into something like this and it wasn't the training, I'd be a little panicked right now because this means battleship. I'm in a little tiny dinky ship here. Those things would nuke me into nothingness. But because we're in the training thing, they have like no real armor, no real strength whatsoever. So your dinky training boat blows through. Now somehow, oh, I see what's going on. Space is, the ships are too clustered up, so they're smacking into each other, which is messing up my tracking. Uh-oh. They're actually starting to do some damage. Yep, I'm at 25% shield. Now, realistically, I'd have two options. I could either, because I don't have any repairers, or colloquially called reppers, because I don't have any of those, I could warp away to get repaired. Or, because I know that these ships aren't going to be able to realistically take me down, I can just sit here and blow them up and then do the repairs afterwards. And if it gets too hot, I'll warp out. How am I missing? Alright. I shouldn't miss this upholder. The big battleships are really hard. The bigger ships are harder to miss. For obvious reasons. So we take out the bigger ships, I'll stop getting so much damage. And then I'll finally be able to take out that eluder, which seems to be aptly named. Am I able to post a link? Sure, feel free. Oh, that's odd. It blocked out the link. Let's see. Colors. Oh. I would greatly appreciate that not showing up next to me. Let's see. That is a Leviathan. That's called a super capital, if I remember correctly. That is like amongst the biggest, most powerful, most deadly ships in the game. Basically, he'd warp into me and I'd turn into a puddle of flattened metal. Well, since I'm relatively safe here, we'll see. Leviathan. If I remember correctly. Let's see. Ouroboros. Alright. Is it a Caldari? Yeah, there it is. That's the Leviathan. It's big, it's got a lot of guns, and it would hurt an awful lot. Believe it or not, it won't damage you to just for him just to bring it in. You won't take any damage from him just warping in, unless he chooses to ram you with it. Because a ship of that size hitting a ship of my size, again, I become flattened pancake. But they are very expensive. They are very, very skill oriented. It takes a lot of work to fly one of those competently. And if your friend flies one of those, you know what? More power. More power to him. I don't yet. I think this time we're going to dock. Because those things done kicked my buttocks. Yeah, the Leviathan. Oh, yeah. That's, yeah. That's not something I would say I would sneeze at in any way, shape, or form. That's one of those things I've never seen in person. And I think they're awesome, but I've never seen one in person. I was out in faction warfare space 2 days ago, and someone actually brought in a carrier, and I wanted to go fly up to them. I wanted to get a look at it. I had no intention of shooting. I didn't want to target him. I just wanted to see it. But then I realized I was in faction warfare space, and the first thing they were going to do is they were going to go, "Oh, hi, meep, boom, done, game over." All right. And as you do the repair, you'll see that the damage will slowly start to go away. Did it repair? Repair all. There we go. And it fades away. Good as new. Alrighty. Pick a new task. But now when you click in here, it does complete the one you're currently in. And so now we're learning about. Now it's going to teach us about the afterburner. Let's see. Starship command targeting. All right. Now again, this is an alpha account on purpose. So a lot of this stuff you might not be able to use, like mining drones. I kind of wish they were available for alpha clones, but let's see, 27 jumps away mean. What that means is he has to go through 27 warp gates to get to where I am. I'm guessing. Yeah. That means that he would have to go through 27 warp gates to get here. And depending on how long it takes that ship to go to warp, it could be a few minutes. I know that, like, all right, for a real quick example, I'll go ahead and show what happens here. Now, you've seen me bouncing around, going to warp to different spots. Okay? If I go to warp, and we're gonna use the warp to within, so that way it gets me to the warp gate. Okay? And you see I'm gonna warp to the warp gate. And it takes a certain amount of time to do that. And then this ship, I believe, has a maximum warp speed of 3 astronomical units per second. So to take the distance, divide it by 3, and then add, I want to say 5 or 6, because you have acceleration and deceleration time. All right. Now again, I'm doing this just as a quick demonstration. But once you get to the warp gate, you click on the warp gate, and then you click jump. Or you can just right click and jump in the first place. And it takes me to the next star system. He has to do that 27 times. And it's a Leviathan. All right. Again, I recognize that that you're new to the game, so I apologize for laughing like that. What he's saying is that he and a group of other people are attacking enemy bases. Okay, it'll take 3 hours to get through that, and some player moon stations. So he has to go through that. So it'll be a couple hours before he could get here. Now let's see here. Tributes. Maximum. All right. Now this ship that he's talking about only moves at about 1 3/8 astronomical units per second. Okay. So it would take a little while for him to go from across point A to point B. And you know what? We'll just simulate it. And this allows us to see what we could realistically do with this thing. Now this right here, just standing the way it is, has 2 million damage. Okay, 2 million. What's going on here? I wonder what's this taking so long. Okay, it has 2 million damage on its own. Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you. Estimated hit points. You are absolutely correct. But it takes almost a minute and a half just to turn and go to. Wow, really? It takes that long? Yeah, I can understand what he says there, because I've done some of it. You know what? That is true. Yeah, MWD is a micro warp drive, and it grants you a really good burst of acceleration. Oh wow. Well, in that case, that makes sense as to why you'd want to do that. I don't normally try to warp off a micro warp drive because it just seems to take that much longer to do. But in that particular instance, I completely understand. But then again, I'm also used to using the smaller ships, so that makes a bit of a difference. It's an awesome, awesome ship, by the way. Yes, actually, I have a friend who says the same thing. They fire it once to get you up to speed, and then you let it off, so that way you can go to warp that much faster. Really? Yeah, it sounds like what you're hearing there is they're actually discussing combat plans, um, a combat strategy, actually, where they have a grid. Hey, I've only been playing for a year, so I haven't had a chance to become bitter. Um, but yeah, it sounds like they're talking strategy where they grid out where they want their attacks to be, and then you put your ship here and do this. One of the things I'm looking forward to trying here in the near future is I'm in the process of training in for running bombers on my main account, or on my main character. And I'm really looking forward to messing with that because I watched some wingspan videos, and just watching them doing that was hilarious. And I'm like, I wish I could do that. That would be so much fun. All right. Oh, they give you a Tristan here. But yeah, my corporation um, started getting hit by some guys who were bringing in carriers to take on moon complexes, and I hate to say it, that was painful. All right, now this particular mission, if it's one I think it is, oh, not yet. That's for the next mission, so I will actually. Okay, I'm still in my Velotor. All right, but we will utilize the Tristan I just got in just a few minutes, and the Tristan is Galente. Oh, wrong button. That's the Tristan. This is a light duty. Well, it does have some drone capability. This is basically what I would consider to be the all rounder for the Galente frigates. The Incursus is more of an attack ship. Yeah. Your Incursus is for closer in, like getting in for fighting. Your Atron, that they typically do that for brawling. And brawling is you put in really short range weapons with the hardest hitting ammunition you can get, and make it go as fast as you can around your enemies, so that way they can't hit you while you're popping away at them. And then your kickstand here. The kickstand, this is to do scouting as Gallente. And scout, like I said earlier, scouting is my big thing. I really enjoy doing scouting and exploration stuff. So that is where I spend a lot of my time now, and you won't hear me complain about it. Yes, yes. You know what the funny thing is? That's actually a pretty apt name. When I got my first Amicus, because during the career path training, this is just for basic combat and flying, but for the career path training, you get one for free. You'll get a lot of the frigates. You'll get like one of each frigate for free by doing all the career chains. When I first got the ship, the first thing I did was I renamed it to the Kickstand. Because I looked at it, and all I could see is it's a kickstand. It's a kickstand on the ship. That's awesome. And then I usually use that coloration scheme. I bought the Glacial Drift for several of my boats. Yeah, the Navitus has its uses, but its primary purpose is fleet support. It's meant for small fleet battles where you will be providing healing to other ships. Oh, they changed it. Ew. I actually used to think there was the little notch that was in there was kind of cool, and then it looks like they trimmed it down. The Navitus got an update. Yeah, I heard. I heard. I don't remember which ones they were, but this is not the Navitus that I remember. The Navitus that I remember looked like a teardrop. Yeah, it was like a teardrop that flew sideways. The Osprey, okay. You'll have to give me a moment. It's yeah, I know about the Badger and Terra. I was actually I was kind of surprised at the changes that went to that. Not too far. Wait, I guess it is. Thank you. I could not remember. It's been a little while since I've been in here. Moa. Yeah, they did. This is the first time I've seen it. So this is the first time it's ever come to my attention. Like, well, since the changes happened. Yeah, really. Super blocky. Yeah, it used to. It used to, instead of looking like a cube, it looked more like a hexagon on the wings. More. It had more sides to it. It didn't look like a brick. Has everything except. Oh wait, it does have a first aid cross on it. That is cool. I likes it. Combat medic. Yes, I like it. All right, where was I? Oh yeah. Ha! How sad is it that that's actually something that you'd have to be concerned with? Oh God. You know what happened there? Um, the company that was the Red Cross realized that if they didn't start actively trying to protect their brand, that it was going to lose. They were going to lose their trademark on it. Just like Bayer, like we all call aspirin, we just call it aspirin. Okay. Um, but with Bayer, it was originally a trademark, but they let people go about actually using it as just like the name, and they didn't protect it, and so they lost their rights to the name. And I think that's what the Red Cross is going through right now. They're worried about losing their trademark on the Red Plus. And it's such a stupid thing, but it's definitely a thing. Agreed. I don't know. They're for some reason they've gone through some weird changes. Yes, completely agree. Completely 100% agree. uh, sounds like it. And yeah, a lot of charities have switched from doing the charity work they're supposed to into profit mode, and they were never supposed to be profit. Never supposed to be profit. It was supposed to be about taking care of the people who needed to be taken care of, and it's disgusting. It truly, honestly, is disgusting. Yes, thank you. All right. Yes. Yeah. It's. Oh, wrong button. Yeah. Well, one thing you should probably remember when playing Eve Online is realistically, you will have corporations who will have people who just say, "Okay, you go over there and shoot. Go over there and shoot. Blow them up for no obvious reason." But your better leaders will join you in that combat. Unfortunately, this boat doesn't have any hardeners right now. Come on, must go faster. Oh, right, right. Yes, yes. The corporation I'm in is usually pretty chill about stuff like that. They're not ultra hardcore on saying you must follow this doctrine, but they also accept that not everyone's on alpha or on omega clones. So again, this is what you're going to expect for starting the game. And to anybody who wants to start the game, I strongly encourage you to take a look at the tutorial stuff. Now, honestly, I really truly preferred the tutorial that they used to have. Not too long ago, they had a tutorial that was a lot more interactive, that specifically included in the tutorial, you are going to get blown up. You actually get your ship blown out from under you as a part of the training. I really preferred that. I really did. Um, this is good in giving you a relatively solid rundown of what you got to do and how you got to do it. But there's nothing quite like going into there's nothing quite like going into something with your eyes completely open. This is a game, you are going to lose ships. You are going to lose fights. You are going to have to spend that money. You're going to have to rebuild your ships. It's going to happen. So you really got to be ready for that. Because no matter how hard you try, you're going to lose boats. I'm not saying you're going to lose them all. But if you're the kind of person who can't handle losing your stuff, this might not be the place for you, because you are going to blow up. You are going to die, and you are going to cost yourself money. And when I say money, I mean in-game currency. I'm not talking about, you know, cash. All right. I've already redeemed. Yes, I know. All right. So now we're coming over here to the Tristan, and we make it active. So you right-click on your ship, and you make it active. If you're in a ship hangar, if it's not assembled, you would need to assemble it first before you could make it active. If you want to sell it, yeah, my dog's asleep in the back room. If you want to sell it, You have to make sure it's fully repaired, and then you'll repackage it. Wow. So that puts you somewhere in the GMT 0 time, 0 or 1, +1 time zone. But anyway, yeah, that's what I figured. If you want to sell a ship, which you can do, you'd have to repackage it. You can't sell it while it's in your inventory. All right, so we're gonna, no problem, take your time. Now, one of the things they're gonna have us do here is attach the guns, gun, gun.
Skill training completed.
And we need to load bullets. Or in this case, charges, because these aren't bullets, they're charges. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Alright. Clear the charges. Just load them onto the boat. And you know what? We're just going to repackage the Velator so I can steal its afterburner. Oh, that's why. Okay, well then, in that case, we'll load those back up here. We're going to assemble the ship. His name's Velator for now. All right. Agency. Now, the good thing about this version of the game is that it does allow for you to customize for yourself. That's a big plus. Now, we're going to move on to the next item. And we're going to load up, well, we're going to stack the guns. And we're going to load them up.
Warp drive active.
Now, these last 3 locations is just going to be blowing up enemy ships. So it's just, we're going to fly in, we're going to shoot them, we're going to make them go boom, and that'll be the end of that. Now, as you see, this is really, really short range, so we're going to have to get in tight. So we're going to orbit about 1,000, excuse me, lock targets and go. And the fall off range is 3, so now because I linked the weapons, welcome back. Because I linked the weapons, they both fire at the same time. If I unlink the weapons, I could fire them individually. But right now I'm set up in a brawler configuration, so we are going to keep them stacked. As you see, as we get closer, those guns will hit harder. Much bigger numbers. I have, well, this one's Galente, but this one is just for demonstration purposes. I have one Galente, one Minmatar, two Minmatar, and one Caldari. I don't have any Amar yet, and eventually I will make one, but haven't done it yet. So I have one of each, except for the Amar. And because of the speed, I completely missed him on that shot. We just both went, and the guns couldn't track well enough to make sure we hit. But I'm getting hit with missiles. That's why he's hitting me. Slow down the ship. Now this is where something called a web of fire would come in handy. A web of fire would, it's like putting a net around your target. And so it would forcefully slow them down. Where's he going? No. Approach. Maximum speed. And that's one of the things you'll learn later on in the military line, which once you finish this, you actually open up the military line. Yes. It was an absolute blast to make the first character, and afterwards it became, okay, how do I want to model this character? The last character I made, my last one, not counting this one, was my Caldari, and I actually designed that character to look like my dad. Unfortunately, my dad passed. My dad passed away about a year, almost 2 years ago now, and he was a very large influence in my life, and it was very difficult not having him here. But sometimes things happen, and the best I can do is live on like my dad would have expected me to. So that's what I'm doing. And I made a character in his honor. It looks almost exactly like him. Coloration's a little off. But that character, I intentionally took a long time making that character. So yeah. Alright, we're gonna keep it range 1000, turn off afterburner. Starting to fall out of range, so I better pick it up. Wait, that's why I've approached the wrong ship. So here I am popping off with a shotgun while flying the other way. And now we're heading in the right direction. Alrighty. Now, this is just one of several missions. One of the 3 final missions, actually. So now, I'm going to jump to Sisterberg. Now here's one of the things that you'll have to remember while playing this game is that once you get out of the beginner's stuff, everything you use is going to require charges and stuff. You are quite welcome, and feel free to look me up if you have any questions in the future. I'll be around. Name's Wolf. Usually pretty easy to find. So, take care. Have a good night. I'll be going to bed shortly myself. Now, you will run out of ammunition. You run out of ammunition quickly. So it's usually important to keep track of what you need. Now, if I remember correctly, I'm running iron charges on my ship right now. Let's look. Iron charge. So we just go into the market. Iron charge S. And here's a relatively good price. Right in system. So we are going to buy 600. Now fortunately I already have a reasonable amount of funds. So getting them is not difficult. When you start off, you actually get into finishing things, you're going to very quickly make about 1 million ISK. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I want to pick up the ammunition I just purchased. And every region has its own individual market. That's important to remember, because realistically, you will find things at better prices in different locations. It's going to happen. In fact, one of the best places to go buying things is in Caldari space. It's actually a star system called JITA. It's JITA. That's where you're going to find your best deals a lot of the times. But if you're like me and you're the kind of person who goes hunting for deals, you go to one of the various websites dedicated to the marketplace. You have evemarketer.com, you have eve-marketdata.com. So there are several websites that can help with this game, especially when it comes to the various informational needs that'll make the game that much easier to play for you. And this is really what you're going to expect. Boom! Now, just to let you know, when you're using weapons that actually require ammunition, you'll want to remember Control R, or to right click and reload. Now, this is set to automatically reload with whatever I need on it. Another thing you find on the capacitor control is you can actually eject from your ship. I've ejected from my ship. And it's going to continue to cruise on until it runs out of speed. You can also re-enter the ship. Your ship will maintain its name, its loadout, and all the information you had to it. All right. Excuse me. Got one more to go.
Warp drive active.
Now, this is the prime entry for the tutorial to the game. The 16 steps will give you a basic combat explanation. There's a lot to learn. Excuse me. On top of this, when I say that this is just scratching the surface, that is not hyperbole. This game has so much to it that you may find yourself wondering if you ever run out of things to actually do. All right. And now we're in a first-person camera view of everything. Whew. Now this can give you motion sickness, but it's kind of neat to watch. Hey. Oh, excuse me. You okay? Here we go. There's my lovely lady. What's up? Well, apparently, his direction of attack, his angle of attack changed, so my planned orbiting route adjusted. Opening fire. There he is. Basically, we want to get about 4,500 away and then open fire. And that's it. With this, we've effectively completed the tutorial. Well, how about this? The initial primer. And now it's completed. You can replay them, but you don't get any more money for it. Alright. And then from here, you would pick the different pathways to learn different things. And these I can go over one at a time starting tomorrow. But basically, these are the different ways you can do general money making in the game. There's also there's an asteroid that you can mine, but you'll get that through the industry career path, where you'll also get a mining ship for that purpose. So that's something, again, we'll look into that more tomorrow. But as of right now, we are at almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and I have work. So this has been an absolute pleasure. I hope that you have found this to be beneficial in some way or another. I know that I've enjoyed it, and I'd like to thank you very much for sticking around with me if you did. And have a good night. This is the Lone Wolf, signing off.